So the sacredness of some very concentrated, timeless books that have been written. Tao Te Ching is like a timeless book. But every word and every sentence has a much bigger possibilities behind the sentence. That we see when we do a deeper spiritual practice, we see that actually everything's moving. Everything, my body, my emotions, my thoughts, the world, everything I perceive.
大家好，欢迎收看生命觉者系列，我是梁东。一向以来呢，我都知道《道德经》在欧洲，尤其是在德国的影响力远较于我们所知道的。有可能在德国了解《道德经》和研究《道德经》的人口密度比中国还高。你觉得这是一件很可怕的事情吗？不相信的话呢，我们可以今天做一个了解和讨论。今天呢，希伯尔老师呢到中国来讲学。那希伯尔老师呢，他实际上呢一直以来在发展出一种对于集体创伤以及个人的自我成长和修复的一种疗愈的探索。那他的工具和抓手居然来自于《道德经》。今天呢，我向希伯尔先生请教的第一个核心问题就是，他们作为一个德国学者是如何看待和研究《道德经》的。我也很希望他跟我们分享，在他们的眼中是如何把《道德经》应用到个人的成长、自我创伤的疗愈等等方面的。非常感谢希伯尔先生，谢谢您 ，Thank you。
So, when I was 19, I had suddenly a strong feeling that I need to be quiet for a certain time of the day, like to meditate. And this was in a time where I didn't read about meditation, or so I started to study medicine, and I had this strong feeling, and I followed it. And since then I studied, like I did this every day. And then I found that in the stillness, when I go inside, that there's a place where answers appear for my life. And so I kept on doing this. And maybe 1 or 2 years later, I got introduced to yoga, Tai Chi, I started to read books about this. And one of the first books that really resonated strongly with me was the Tao Te Ching. And I remember that often I would take the book, read 2 or 3 lines, and take these lines into my day. Because for me the Tao Te Ching is like a timeless book. So it's not about what we read, it's kind of a concentrated liquid of wisdom. And so with every word and every sentence has a much bigger possibilities behind the sentence. So it was always very much informing me, even if it was not on a rational level of understanding, kind of a much deeper level of understanding. And then when I was 26, I decided to go on a 4-year meditation retreat. And I think also in that time, through the deepening of my own consciousness, the Tao Te Ching was still a book that was with me, even if I didn't take a lot of books with me. And that's where, like, I believe books like the Tao Te Ching we study through a relation with the book, and through the book with the consciousness where it came from. And so then the teaching got even deeper, so that the universal principles that are displayed in the Tao Te Ching, they inform all of us anyway, all the time, because they are universal principles. Yeah, and so for me it was a deeply informing companion on my path. Also later, after I was in this 4-year retreat, then I got invited to give workshops, because another teacher that saw me in one of his lectures said some things about me. And I remember that this book always was with me in my teaching. I traveled all around the world, and then I worked with tens of thousands of people since, but I often read kind of lines from the book because they concentrate certain principles of spiritual development very precisely.
这次你到中国来和大家，昨天晚上谈到了《道德经》，我很想知道您在您的课堂上是如何向你的听众们去分享《道德经》里的故事的。
Yeah, I think especially in our time, we actually created ourselves an external brain. So we have a global brain, the World Wide Web, and within one generation, our generation, the speed of data grows exponentially. So this has two effects. One is there's an enormous speeding up of global learning and data exchange. But the other one is that we expose our nervous system to more and more information that I believe most of us cannot digest. So many people get more and more overloaded, and we see more and more side effects of the very positive internet, that people have higher stress levels, cannot sleep, cannot digest their life, have more health issues. And so we need space, and we need to consciously make space to have more inner space. And from space there is insight, there is digesting, there is awareness. And I believe in our time we need this just for the basic well-being. It's like taking a shower to keep the body clean. Contemplation and meditation and space keeps our psychics clean, our inner world. And then there is another principle that I think is very powerful, that we see when we do a deeper spiritual practice. We see that actually everything's moving. Everything, my body, my emotions, my thoughts, the world, everything I perceive. So that movement is our natural state, that the I is not a fixed thing, the I is a movement. And our soul is not a fixed thing, but it's a movement. And since we combine like higher consciousness practices with integration practices of trauma and conditioning, I see human suffering and illness is a reduction of the original movement, and that healing is the restoration of the original movement. I often describe this as when the hand is as fast as the flow of the river. You don't feel the water because there's no pressure here and there's no pressure here. So I don't push life and I don't stop life. I'm as fast as life. And I think in these two principles is also the healthy relatedness to life, that we feel each other and we feel each other in our original movement, that creates meaningful relations, but that needs the capacity to be present. So, but then we create potential-oriented cultures. Then your highest movement is my highest interest. But this I can only live when I'm generous. And generosity comes with the abundance of energy. But when people are separate from their source, from the Tao, they always feel that there's something lacking. In many families, when there's trauma in the family, the 100% energy are already reduced because the parents cannot channel the energy. The kids have too little energy, not enough body contact, not enough emotional warmth, not enough protection, not enough solving problems together, time, attention, love. And then we create, many people walk through life later on with the feeling, is it always something's missing? Or we need to take care that we hold what we have because it might be taken from us. And also many people that are very rich still are afraid that they will lose what they have, even if they have so much. So that doesn't generate happiness because I always am afraid that something is not enough. And this also creates kind of a culture where we reduce our collaboration because people are too afraid to lose. And then we are not generous enough to support each other to our highest best because we are envious. And if many people share the feeling that there is not enough, we live in a world where it seems we have not enough resources. And that's at the end the basis of many conflicts. When we have conflicts when we fight over not enough. So, and in the Tao, I believe there is, because it gives birth to everything, there's natural abundance. And this is the basis of generosity, this is the basis of giving, this is the culture to everybody, and this is the basis of happiness. So that's what we are working on in our workshops, that more and more people feel connected to this abundant source of energy.
Great, 非常有意义。请问你的这一系列的感知是从逻辑过来的，还是从内在的自然涌现出来的？
No, I think it comes from within. Read a book, after a few minutes we are so absorbed in the meaning that we forget that we are looking at paper. So we lose the space that holds the letters because we are involved in the meaning. We make meaning of the writer's meaning. And the Tao Te Ching teaches us that we don't forget the space, the paper, that makes the letters possible. So I think true knowing always comes out of space. This comes to us.
你知道吗？你幸好是个德国人，如果你是个中国人说这些话，你会被认为是一个神棍。我认为德国人是有很好的逻辑学的教育，所以我觉得在你身上你找到了一种突破逻辑的方法和力量，是很神奇的体验。
Right.
不过，你是否担心一样东西，就是翻译给你们你看到的《道德经》可能不是《道德经》的本意。
That's true, but I'm not so worried about it. I would love to be able to read the original version because I think it's more precise. And in my understanding, precision is love, so that the precision is necessary. But I believe when we read sacred texts, their essence, if something teaches you, then it's their essence, because otherwise it's just words that we want to logically understand. And I think for people that want to find out, oh, what does the Tao Te Ching mean and can I prove it? They need the original, but I'm not listening to that level of the Tao Te Ching. For me, it's much more important how can I create a relation to where the Tao Te Ching came from, and let myself be a student of the bigger consciousness where it came from. And I also think that the difference between the sacred texts, as I see timeless books like the Tao Te Ching, for example, and the regular books, because it's fascinating. People read these books since thousands of years. And other books people read, and after 50 years nobody reads them ever again. So what makes the difference? So the sacredness of some very concentrated, timeless books that have been written means that their letters are open, because they haven't been written from a perspective. And regular books are opinions or ideas or perspectives that people take onto life. And so that's why sacred texts are sacred, because they invite us into a higher consciousness or a wider consciousness. But if they're really sacred, they contain all possibilities of life. So the Tao Te Ching contains its interpretations and translations already, because it's open.